Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. We have Tiffany Owen, owner of TO Fitness and author of the book, Wounded to Warrior. Her mission is inspiring women and leading them on the path of finding confidence and strength. And she shares a very powerful story with us today, which is how she hit her bottom 2.5 years ago when everything changed for her. I will let her tell her story because it's one that is very inspiring. She's been through so much in her life, and now she is at a different place helping other women, and it's completely inspiring. She shares a lot of great tools that she's used throughout her journey on herself and that she also uses with her clients. And I had a lot of takeaways on this episode, and she said so many brilliant things that I know you're going to love this episode. Make sure to listen until the end because she offers a really generous free gift. I'll make sure to link everything, all of her info in the show notes. I'm also reading her book, From Wounded to Warrior, and it's really, really good. So I'll make sure to link that book as well so you guys can check it out. Thank you, Tiffany, and enjoy this episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show today. We have Tiffany Owens with us. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have this conversation with you, and I'm glad that we got to talk a little bit before we hit record. We have some really important topics that we're going to talk about today, and you are the owner of TO Fitness. You are an author, and I would love if you could just maybe tell us what you do now, and then I would love to get into your story a little bit as well.
Okay. Before I dive into that, I think it's very important to remind your listeners to give Jess's show a 5-star review, share. It's important because Jess, you shared that this is a mission for you and you want to help people. But in order to reach more people, the listeners have to share the episode, subscribe to your show, and give a 5-star review. So I just want to remind everyone to do that. It's so important, very important in sharing the mission. So I want to start
Thank
with
you,
that.
Tiffany. Yes, I appreciate that.
People
Yes,
forget.
everyone.
People
Thank you
forget
so
to do
much.
that.
They will.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I always freeze up when people ask me this question because there's so much to my story. And thank God I wrote a book so you can, read my book and get most of it. The woman that you're looking at today or listening to today is not who I was about 2.5 years ago. A little over 2.5 years ago, I tried to kill myself for the 4th time. And I say that I want to get right into that because I wonder how many of your listeners are just getting by, or they're thinking, gosh, why does this always happen to me? This is just my luck. Bad things always happen to me. I just can't get ahead. And that's where I was in life. I was in a totally victim mindset, even though I was a very successful entrepreneur, coach. I've been in personal training and fitness for over 20 years. I looked like I had everything together, but I didn't. Most nights of the week, I was drinking too much and I was asking God to let me go to sleep and not wake up. And I had to get out of a victim mindset and look at life as life happening for me and not to me. So, who I am today, fitness mindset coach, I'm helping thousands of women get healthy and break the cycle of self sabotage. I'm a mother of 4, happily married for almost 14 years, but that's not who I was a little over 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh. I know. And your book is called Wounded to Warrior, How to Participate in Your Own Rescue. And you mentioned just a minute ago about being a victim and helping yourself to get out of that mentality to help yourself because that's how we move forward and go and move on. And so tell me about 2.5 years ago. So you were drinking. I would love to talk about that
Yeah.
because that is something that a lot of people struggle with. And I know that the rates have gone up since COVID. And I don't know. I mean, that was so 2.5 years ago, that was post COVID. Did that have something to do with it? Did it ramp up, or you've always kind of had this? Yeah.
So my trauma started very, very young. Like I was telling you before we started, I've been through just about everything that you can imagine. A lot of PTSD, sexual abuse, physical abuse, uh, unwanted abortion. I was married 4 times by the time I was 29 because I kept getting in abusive relationships. I found out my dad wasn't my real dad when I was 29. I was conceived by an anonymous sperm donor from a sperm bank. Like you see on Dateline, the shows about I have like over 20 half siblings. It was not a wonderful thing. It was very traumatic. And so I was a victim. And I wonder how many people out there feel like I did. Like, gosh, like everybody who says they love me either abuses me or they leave me. And my drinking was just a symptom. And I could go years or months without drinking. I donated my liver to a stranger with cancer. I didn't drink that whole time, but my drinking had progressively gotten worse. And I justified and rationalized because I was running a very successful business. I never missed a workout. Everyone was taken care of, but I had no idea the damage that it was doing. And I would go to sleep every night. Just, God, I can't fight anymore. Just let me go to sleep and not wake up. So I've always had addiction issues off and on. I don't think it's any worse because of COVID.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, and no one would blame you for feeling that way, right? Like after
Yeah.
everything that you've been through, of course you're going to feel like this is why me and why is this happening to me? And with going through that throughout your whole life, because you were able to, get married and have kids and have this thriving business, how did you do that? Like, I mean, were you getting help during that time and kind of just drinking and you're really dealing with heavy depression if you're feeling like you don't want to wake
Yeah.
up in the morning. Like, what
Yeah.
were you doing to get through that?
I had to hit a bottom. So if you're listening and you are sick and tired of being sick and tired and you are at your rock bottom, I want to say congratulations because that is a great place to be. Really great because that is what is going to create change. My bottom got so bad that I tried to kill myself, and my husband committed me to the hospital on a psychiatric hold. And he gave me the ultimatum of you go to treatment and get help, or you don't get to come home. And at that moment, I knew that no one was going to dig me out of my hole but me. And I had to show up and participate in my own rescue. And I was very blessed to be able to go to an amazing treatment center. And I went to a trauma treatment center as well.
Oh, that's great for you.
Mhm.
And that was like, so the trauma treatment center is separate from then like dealing with addiction and things
Yep.
like that. So tell us about that experience being in a
Yeah.
trauma center. Is this
I
two
want
and a
to,
half years ago, by the way? Is this like
yes.
when that,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So it's called On Site, and they have an amazing program. This was a 6 day type workshop, and it was trauma centered. They also have
Mm.
a program called Living Centered. They have a program called Milestones that is a 30-day program, and they have facilities in Tennessee, Colorado, and I think California too. An amazing, amazing program. I want to go back just because it was just so awesome.
Wow. That's great. I mean, you don't always hear that kind of raving reviews from certain treatment centers, but
Amazing. Yeah,
yeah.
amazing. It was a lot of group therapy, a lot.
Okay.
The whole program was incredible.
Do you feel like that is an area, or that experience gave you a lot of things that you could take home and use in your everyday life, or was it just kind of that like triage of like, this is urgent, we need to take care of this, but then you go back, like what happens after you leave? Like, or do you still
Yeah.
have tools? What do you do?
So fortunately, I have been in the coaching business where I've been really plugged into personal development and meditation and different tools like that before I hit my bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was doing Joe Dispenza work, meditation, I've been to his retreats, I've done a lot of his work, and I was constantly doing personal development, I was able to bounce back quicker. For me, it solidified what I already had established. And then along the way, part of participating in my own rescue and getting into a mindset of life happens for me and not to me, I just took my tools that I was already using to the next level. And that's what I use to coach my clients in my fitness business. Because if we don't well, my tagline is transform your mind and your body will follow.
Mm. It's so true. Like I talked about this on another call where a lot of times the coping mechanism, like you used alcohol, like some people use drinking or sorry, food. And that is like it's a symptom of this pain that we have and like our mindset and different things like that because that's just one way that we're using to cope with the pain. So I love, talking about those things together because and tell me about this with your clients when it comes to getting healthy and weight loss. If you are you're motivated, you're excited, you have a plan, and then you self-sabotage. I want to talk about self-sabotage
Yeah.
because that is such a common thing that we deal with. Like, and I've dealt with this myself where I'm like doing so great and like, say it's a weight loss goal and I've lost some weight and then I'm like, I just go out and do something that I'm like, why did I do that? I was on a roll. So,
Yeah.
talk to us about that.
Yeah. There's a lot of directions I could go with that. First, I think you have to have integrity when you start your journey. And integrity with yourself is the most important. Following through with the commitments that you make to yourself helps you learn to love yourself a little bit more. And when I work with my clients, we create what I call a power promise. And that's one thing that you can do no matter what, even on your worst day. It could be just brushing your teeth, making your bed, drinking your water. Okay, so it starts self confidence starts with following through with the commitments that you make to yourself. And self discipline is a form of self love. But for me, I knew I needed to love myself, but I didn't know how to connect my head and my heart. With my clients, I teach them how to create non negotiables and power promises because every time they follow through with that commitment, they learn to love themselves a little bit more. And so we start with a power promise.
I love that. And you talked about in the very beginning that you've had that victim mentality and honestly, like, of course you did. When you have a client that you're working with, and I want to talk about you personally too, like how you kind of were able to make the switch. And I'm sure that was something that took time, but where you could actually be like, okay, I'm going to be taking my power back here. I'm not the victim anymore. This is how I'm going to do it. How is that transition from where you are now, but from where you were?
Yeah. First, I want to say my mission is to empower others to be radically transformed into the person that God created them to be. I'm a Christian. I had to turn my pain into my purpose. I get to frame my past however I want. And I decided to frame it in a way that life happened for me and not to me. And you're most qualified to help the person that you used to be. I looked at my recovery as a gift, and you don't get to keep a gift if you don't give it away.
Mm.
And I take it very seriously that this is life or death for me, and for me to keep my gift, I have to give it away. So this is very important to me to help the next person who needs hope and inspiration. So turning my pain into my purpose helped me move forward, and also owning my part in every situation. So I love what Wayne Dyer says is you have to take responsibility. But responsibility means to respond with ability and look at your part in every situation. And by doing that, even in the moments where I'll be extreme, I was raped, but I was also drunk. My part was that I went somewhere and I drank too much. Now, that can be controversial. I'm not giving the person who did that to me a write off, but it helps me get my power back if I can
Mm-hmm.
own my part and learn from it and look at the person who hurt me through with compassion and love, because hurt people. That's how I started shifting that mindset.
Well, yeah, I love that because you're saying that's what gave me my power back. And to feel like you're out of control is what a victim is. You know, you just everything's happening to you. You don't have any control of it. And when you can, and that's such a powerful mind shift that you have to take. But I'm wondering, you had so many great tools and before you hit your bottom. And I love that you went to Joe Dispenza. That is on my bucket list, by the way. I want to go to a Joe Dispenza
I
retreat.
did.
Was it
You got,
amazing?
yes, it was
Okay.
amazing. I went
I
to
feel
the
like it's life changing, right?
progressive retreat in Colorado. So, yeah,
Okay.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I hear that's like life changing.
It
So
is.
taking,
So I went actually in May, and my suicide attempt was in June.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So it's like you had this like amazing event and then you still were like not in a place that was
Hmm.
good for you.
Yeah.
So,
I needed to hit a bottom, so I'm very
okay.
grateful that that
Yeah.
happened. But I had the tools from Dr. Joe and other
Yeah.
personal development that I had done. Once my mind was clear, I could really put those tools into practice, like meditation and mindfulness, and think about what you're thinking about, and all the things that he talks about in his lectures.
So I'm sure this was very helpful in your recovery. And I'd love to, and I don't know what kind of recovery regimen you have after you stop drinking, but I'd love to hear if you learned new things or if what you implemented from your past and all of your mindset work to help you in your recovery to keep strong, because it's a very, very difficult thing to have to give up something like that. What kept you going and what tools did you learn in recovery that have
Mhm.
helped you?
Yeah. So what you focus on grows. That's big. What you focus on grows, and you get what you think about, whether you want it or not. I had to really put into practice thinking about what I was thinking about and knowing that I had the power to shift that and create a new narrative. Something I do with my clients, which if you're listening, I want you to hear this. We're all talking to ourselves and we all have a story that we're telling ourselves over and over. And most of the time it's negative. It's negative
Hmm.
tapes. It's self-defeating, limiting beliefs. And what I did for myself and also what I do with my clients is we write a declaration paragraph, more than just affirmations. It's a declaration. And I actually have the instructions in the back of my book every single morning. And successful people get up early, very early. I get up at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock. That's part of my recovery. I get up early and I do my morning routine. It's non-negotiable. That's my medicine. So I do meditation and I write my paragraph, and I write the same paragraph every single morning. And I teach my clients to do this too. So this paragraph includes basically your future self, adjectives. We know what we don't want to be, and we know what those negative tapes are. So then we turn them into positive, or what we aspire to be. And you don't have to feel like it. And it might feel silly when you write it, like when you write, I'm positive, I'm joyful, I'm empowered, I'm highly favored. Those are all mine.
Hmm.
And it's a living document, so it grows. It can be added to. And I have mantras in there that I pull from. I literally have no negative tapes playing in my head anymore because I've been writing this paragraph for 2.5 years every single morning. So I've created a new narrative. And some of my mantras are, everything always works out for me. I can do hard things. I'm the dominant force in my life. I pivot easily. Used to, if something was came my way that threw me off my schedule, I would freak out. Now I pivot easily. So if something happens, I'm like, it's okay. Like everything always works out for me. So that's a big part of my recovery, and really helping people, service, uh, the stuff I do in
Yes.
my coaching keeps me. I don't go to AA. I think that's a great program, but that's not something that I've used in my recovery. There are other tools.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
there are. I really love what you said about the morning routine, and that is part of your recovery because, and especially if you have kids. And I know for me, if I wake up when my kids wake up, I just go straight to satisfying everybody else's needs. I don't have any time for myself, and I have a different day than when I get my, because I'm a big believer in morning routines too, and I love, that's when I get my exercise in, and that's when I do a lot of these things as well. And if I wake up when the kids are waking up, that they do not happen, and I go straight to being like a mom. And it's incredible how that quiet time can really make such a big difference in your day. And I love the declaration. I'm gonna have to do this, and doing something like this over and over, and you're basically talking about, you're becoming aware of like the negative, and
Mhm.
then that you can't do anything about that until you are aware of it so that you can change it,
You have to
next.
replace it. Yeah, you have to
Right.
replace the old tapes. Well, and I guess we don't have tapes anymore. Place the old messages with new messages because we're always talking to ourselves. So we might as well create a narrative that serves us. And
Yes.
I actually write in my book, the last chapter of my book is a step by step instructions on how to write your paragraph. My paragraph is in the book, and several of my clients' paragraphs are in the book too.
Amazing. So when your clients first come to you, what are their main goals? Do they come to you because they're like, I just want to lose weight and look like you do, which is incredible? Or do they say, I need help with the way I talk to myself? I know a lot of our goals are going to be either successful or not based on that. So what are some of the things that they come to you wanting to
I love
achieve?
this. A lot of my clients have been with me for almost 2 years. I don't People stay with me for a long time, but let's take Sarah, for instance. Sarah came to me and she had lost 100 pounds and she had a lot of loose skin. She's in
Mhm.
her early 50s and she's got a lot of loose skin. She's like, okay, I want to be toned and muscular. I want to work on my arms and I need to work on my butt. And, she thought she was coming to me for a workout program. And I was like, okay, Sarah, I need you to trust me. First, I do not coach anyone without doing the mindset part, period. If you sign up with me for my workouts, which they work, I have over 20 years experience. Most of my people are working out from home with minimal equipment. Like that's it,
Awesome.
basically. Yeah, that's behind me.
Yeah.
So she's coming to me in her early 50s, really had not been to a gym. I know she's scared to death to even be calling me, and I asked her to trust me. And I said, we can't spot reduce. We're going to work on all your body parts, not just your, arms. And she trusted me. And we start with transforming the mind, what we're listening to, writing our paragraph. We share our wins with each other. And that comes from the book Gap in the Gain. It's called Gap in the Gain. And the authors are Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. And they talk about your wins, sharing your wins. This is kind of going in a little bit different direction. But people come to me, pre and post menopause, belly fat, different things like that, increased cortisol from stress. Well, when we work all that out, their bodies start transforming and their confidence is built and they're doing these workouts on their own. It's incredible. Anyway, so the wins, we share wins with each other. So the whole concept of sharing your wins every day at the end of the day, you go to bed with a sense of accomplishment. We share 3 wins and you learn how to celebrate the small stuff. You always find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for wins, you will find them. And if you
Mhm.
have a crappy day, you turn a win into you turn a crappy day into a win by saying, what did this make possible? And what did I learn? So for over 2.5 years, I'm writing wins down. So I get my people, we pair up and they have accountability partners and they share wins with each other. And then below that, we do 3 wins that you plan on getting tomorrow. And That sets your intentions for the day. You wake up focused on what you're doing, what you want to get accomplished, and you're more likely to do it. And I have an app it's in beta testing right now. It's a win app to share your wins. So, anyways, that's a huge part. But I got it from the book Gap in the Gain, and I like to give that book credit. So, what we focus on grows, and we always find what we're looking for. So, they come to me wanting to work out, but first we start mindset.
I love that. I'm gonna have to look that book up. I love.
You
Did you
have to.
say Darren Hardy? Is it
No,
Darren Hardy?
it's Benjamin Hardy and
Benjamin Hardy. Okay, got it.
Dan Sullivan. They're
I'll
two
link
authors.
that in the show notes too if anybody
Gap
wants to
and the
check it
Gain,
out.
and the Audible version I like better because the
Oh.
two authors talk in between chapters.
Oh, good to know. Okay, good. I need to get Audible. I'm behind the game on that
It's
one.
good. It's good.
Awesome. Okay. So I love that. So I think when you start working with someone and you're definitely focusing on the, I mean, it's one and the same. Like if you're going to have success, I believe, I know that for me. What are some obstacles that might come up for them, and what do they come with you saying, okay, this is something I need help with, especially when they're in the beginning of their journey?
Busy. People fall into the busy trap. And if you fight for your excuses, you get to keep them. We're
Yeah.
all busy. That's the number one thing, is fitting this new lifestyle into your day, which means I help people delay, delete, and delegate. So they're going to have to get out of this busy trap. They're going to have to delay some things, press pause, because we're working in new habits, a new lifestyle. They're going to have to delegate, ask people for help, ask their kids to help around the house more. So they buy back their time, hire a housekeeper, whatever, outsource, and delete. There's gonna you have your environment shapes you. So if you do not change your environment, you will not change. So people being in an unhealthy environment, falling in the busy trap, and you have to be able to maybe get rid of some people in your life that are not good influences, that maybe aren't a part of your journey, or they don't need to be anymore.
It's so funny you say that because I was just online the other day and I saw this video, and it was from, I think it was a psychologist, and he was saying one of the biggest indicators of success when you're a teenager, like to forecast, is association. Who are you spending your time with? And I was like, oh, I had to tell my boys because that is that's huge, right? Like, and that's uncomfortable. And sometimes I bet too, when you're changing, like you were a drinker and then you're a non-drinker, and I'm sure there's friendships or relationships that I don't know if you did. I'm assuming maybe that was like
Absolutely.
your drinking buddy, like that.
Mhm.
I could see a lot of people being like, oh wow, now Tiffany's not drinking anymore, like that. Maybe I think that makes people have to look at, oh, what am
It
I
does.
doing? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So when you get better and work on yourself, you do not inspire other people most of the time. You are a reflection, a mirror for what they're not doing.
Mm.
And people are always looking to get offended, always. And it's very easy for people to internalize your decision to get healthy as something that has to do with them, like rejection. And I teach my people, my clients, that other people's triggers are not your responsibility. And no is a complete sentence. You never have to explain yourself, and you don't have to explain what you don't say. Learning boundaries and learning how to tell people no, because a lot of people have, like Oprah calls it, Oprah Winfrey, the disease to please.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to say no to people that you love. So being able to say no and not explaining yourself is something you asked what kind of people are in the beginning struggle with. And that's one, not being able to say no and set boundaries.
Yeah, or feeling like, oh, I'm the only one in this, where everybody's going to a barbecue, and what are they going to think? And it's funny too, because it's like they should think good for you. Like, that's amazing. You don't want to, you're on a plan. You're not drinking, whatever it might be. And it is hard for us to be like the person that's not doing something, even if that's something that we should feel proud of.
Mhm.
I do see that's something that is some, it definitely holds people back or sets them
It's an
back.
obstacle.
It's
It's definitely an obstacle, but every time you overcome that and you're able to say no without an explanation, and you are having integrity with yourself and following through with the commitments that you make to yourself, your self confidence grows. And then you start seeing a ripple effect of results. And so it gets easier to say no when you start seeing the fruit of it.
Yeah, and I love that about how it changes with confidence. Your confidence builds, and then you get practice. Like, and then it's easier to be able to do that. What it's so hard to sometimes go, oh, I don't care what, try not to care what people think. It's in us to do that. But when you break it down in that way of like, I mean, really, I'm not gonna not do something better for myself because of what somebody thinks. Like,
Yeah.
that's it's silly when you break it down, but it's just like something innate in us, I feel like. So I'd love to talk more about like what you do with your clients. Tell us about your program and how your coaching works, and tell us more about TO Fitness.
I love it. There is no other model like this, none at all. I've been in fitness for over 20 years, and I've coached and helped thousands of people actually in the last 6 years. But TO Fitness started about 2 years ago. And um, I knew that I didn't want to just write people workouts out. I knew I wanted to do a holistic approach to health and fitness, which included mindset, workouts, nutrition, accountability, community, connection. And I didn't really know what that was going to look like virtually. I have clients all over. I have a client in Canada now, all over the United States. But I bring them on, and most of them are working out from home with minimal equipment. I work with a lot of ladies pre and post menopausal. My oldest client is 70. I think my youngest is 34. And so they do these, my workouts work. They're good. I've got a lot of experience. And I've created a community for extra level of accountability. When you sign up with me, you don't just get me, you get a whole team that supports you. It's pretty cool. And I have a certified sports nutritionist on my team that writes my meal plans, and
Oh,
she's
awesome.
available for extra support. So we are empowering, we are teaching people how to create lifelong transformation over time. So this is a learning opportunity. So we have the workouts, we have accountability, we create connection, we have small group Zoom check-ins, we have large group check-ins, kind of like group therapy, very solution-based. I run challenges in my group, and I give away prizes that keeps people motivated. Like talking about saying no, one of the challenges was they had to say no 3 times a day for a week and ask for help. And people really had a hard time with that. So we do mindset challenges, physical challenges, one-on-one mindset coaching, and it's kind of like life coaching. What I do with Sarah is not going to be the same as what I do with Eliza. I meet people where they're at, and I also connect people within the group for accountability. So people who have been with me for a long time, I partner them up with new people, and they support each other.
I love that. Okay, so I love that challenge of asking for help. That is hard for me. I've always struggled with that one. Even as simple and silly as, what do you want me to bring to your house for for food? Oh, no, 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 it's fine. It's a real shift to be able to ask for help. And what I learned is that if you can ask for help, you're really gifting that person you're asking for help. You feel closer to them, they feel closer to you, that you were comfortable enough and love them enough to ask for help. That makes them feel good, even though they're the ones helping. I think it's a good challenge because a lot of people struggle with it, and there's so many good things that come from it. So
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, don't deny the blessing of someone being a blessing to you.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I
a lot
love
of times
that.
it's pride and ego.
Yeah.
It's really pride and ego.
Right.
And it's it's a really good idea to, help and serve others, but also be able to receive help and ask for help, because a
That
lot of times that leads to self-sabotage when we try to do it alone.
right. And then we're mad about it because we're burned out from doing it all.
Because nobody helped us, but we didn't let anybody help us.
That's right. I want to talk a little bit before we go about your book. What can we expect from your book? I know you have some tools in there. And I love the deck that you have the declaration and examples, because sometimes this is new to people. We don't know how to do this kind of stuff. So tell us more about your book.
I love it. My story is crazy. It's crazy. Like I said, I've been through just about everything that you can think of. I wanted it to be my story, but also be solution based. So every chapter that I talk about something that happened to me, I also share how I overcame it. And it's very interactive. It's like you're having a conversation with me. So it's very thought provoking. It's a fast read. Most people start it and they can't put it down, and they read it in a couple of days. And the end is getting into action and how to participate in your own rescue. And I talk about writing the paragraph, but I also talk about a lot of other self care things, because it's more than just working out, it's more than just nutrition. And I didn't know how to love myself. So the longest distance you'll ever travel is between your head and your heart. And my hope is that people will be able to come out of denial. You can't change or heal what you don't acknowledge. And maybe if you haven't been through things like I have in my book, I also write it in such a way that if you know someone, that this will help you understand them better, especially if you know someone who has tried to commit suicide or has. It's important because the loved ones of the people that are struggling with mental health issues and addiction aren't talked about enough. And I acknowledge them in my book too. And it's very solution based.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I can't wait to read it. I'm going to definitely link the book in the show notes and your website as well so people can get a hold of you. You have been amazing. Thank you for all of your wisdom that you've shared with us today. And I cannot wait for my listeners to hear this one.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And before we go, I want to say thank you to you and your audience. I have been listening to your podcast since I found out that I was going to be on, and you really over deliver for your people. And I don't think people realize how this is a lot of work. And
Yes.
you have inspired me to over deliver. I have never given anything away for free, but I truly want to help people. So I want to give the listeners a free gift if you stay to the end of this podcast. It's pretty awesome. I've never given anything away for free. It's called the Holistic Wellness Kickstart. Okay. This is for anybody who just needs a reset. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to incorporate a holistic approach to health and fitness and nutrition, metabolism reset, just, getting off the couch and just getting started. So what it is I'm going to give you one free like full body workout that you can do anywhere, and a 7-day meal plan, and also a mindset mastery Zoom. So we are inviting everyone that turns in for this free gift to a mindset Zoom that me and my other leaders on my team are going to host. And all you have to do is private message me on Instagram, Coach Tiffany Owen, no S, Owen, or Facebook. I do a lot on Facebook, and it's just Tiffany Owen on Facebook. I am the one in the green shirt. I have green shirt, muscles, and I am like verified. So I have the little blue dot by my name. And you can also message me on my website. The keyword start.
Okay.
Okay. And then I will personally send it to you, and hopefully it'll help you get started.
Thank you so much. That's so generous of you. I will make sure to link where
Yeah.
people can find your socials and all of that good stuff. And thank you again for sharing your story and all of these
Yeah.
wise tidbits with us. So helpful. I am so glad that you were able to come on. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.